Okay, now we're going into zone four, practicing. And like everything else, I mean, your brain is always, there's always a little planning going on, a little bit of, you're always learning when you do things. And then even when you're in the middle of a game, I mean, you could be employing some new things that you've learned. So practicing is kind of always happening. But what we're talking about is where your focus is. So are you focused in on live action, focused on planning, focused on learning, or focused on practicing? So this is the zone four where you want to focus in on practicing. What this means is setting aside time specifically to practice new things. So probably what's happened is you've learned something somewhere along the way, you've reviewed tape, something like that, you've developed a plan, said, okay, here's what's happening, I've gathered data, now I've got a plan, so I want to change the way that I do my first conversation with people, or I want to change this sentence that I say, or I want to change the process that that maybe a deal gets welcome to the agency and transferred to an agent. Whatever it is, there's some new behavior that needs to be that's been identified, some change that wants to make. Practicing is going to shortcut how fast that new behavior can happen. And so, of course, you can practice it in live, but I really recommend practicing anytime you want to make a change for yourself. Um, Seriously, practice it before. You can do this in the mirror. Hopefully you have other agents you can practice with. What we do is every week we have one thing we want to improve. It's either something brand new, or it could be just kind of a review of something we've gone over before. So maybe how to answer the phone, or how to, whatever it is. But what you want to do is, I love role playing at the end of the day. Role play separate or role play with others. And what this does is it will take an idea, take some plan in your head, and actually turn it into where you will do this naturally when you're in the game. I mean, I hate to keep going back to athletes, but they practice so that when they're in the game and they can't sit there and think through things consciously, hopefully all the practice has made that new behavior kind of a habit and something instinctual. So, for example, one of the latest things we've been focusing in on in our agencies is how to say no to people. So somebody calls up, you got to have a plan. We've done the planning. Okay, we're not going to really say no to anybody. We're going to solve the problem for them. So if they call up and they don't get by our qualifying questions and we need to say no, here's how you do it. So anyway, that process of saying no to somebody can be really, really difficult if you've never practiced it. So you can kind of have an idea in your head you need to, but without the practice, what happens? Somebody calls up, they're on the line, you're in the, it's live action. You don't have time to hit the pause button and do a timeout. I mean, you're out there in the game. And so you do what you've done a million times before. And in our case, what we were struggling with, a lot of agents saying, oh, yeah, I can help you. I got a bunch of companies. Well, even though inside in their head, no, 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 this guy sounds like a pain, or this guy doesn't fit what we want, or whatever, instead it's yeah, yeah, yeah. And then over the course of several days, it's procrastinate, and they might put them down the list of wanting to quote or close, and so then the guy ends up being upset, and things don't work right. Well, when you get everybody together to role play this and actually have the words come out of your mouth and practice it a couple times, then when it comes up, now all of a sudden, when you're in the middle of the game, that those new behaviors become a little bit more natural. So set time aside. We'll go into more of this with later in these courses, but I really like kind of a week. If you're brand new, then learning and practicing you need to do that a lot, on a daily basis. You need to make sure you spend 70–80% of your time just going out there and doing the best you can, playing ball out on the court, right? Just act, call them, talk to them, quote them, present them, bind them, do whatever you got to do. But take some time, maybe in the morning, if you've got a mentor in your agency that can help you. But take a half hour, an hour, and practice something, some process. How you're going to take a phone call, how you're going to do it, how you're going to make a cold call, how you're going to, whatever that is, how you're going to take somebody to lunch, and what the goal is there. So, how you'll make a presentation, how you close the deal, that kind of thing. So if you're brand new, that needs to be almost daily. Once you kind of get into it and you're having some success, I think once a week at a minimum. I love doing, as a sales manager, I love bringing everybody together, having one thing that everybody's going to work on. We hit it, and then we do some little role playing, and then we set up and we say, okay, in a week we're going to review this and see how we did. We incentivize, that practice. So they practice right then, and then we make it stick by doing. And we'll talk later in these courses, but we do fun little games like, okay, we're going to pin a bunch of dollar bills up on the wall, and everybody that does this during live action can just walk up and take $1, and then within a few, it's not that big a deal. You might spend a couple $100 or whatever to get people to change their habits, but then after a week or two, you've got a new habit. Now, if you're talking to it where this is the courses for agents and not necessarily agency managers, you can still do that little game yourself. So set aside time, practice in the mirror, find a buddy if you can, practice, and then make sure that that ends up being used in live action by giving yourself a little rewards, like we've talked about earlier, your favorite drink or whatever it is. So anyway, set aside. If you don't set time aside, if you don't actually put it in the calendar, this will not happen. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up with a set of habits that result in some type of result, some level of production, and that won't change. You'll go 10, 20, 30 years, and your book might grow slowly, but it's a long, slow road for the most part. You can really shortcut that by taking what you're learning, of course, out of Zone 3, and then make sure you set some time aside to take what you learn and practice in some kind of a safe environment where you're not actually, practice with your course during live action, but find times aside from that to really shortcut the learning curve with the least amount of collateral damage. You can practice. You can just go in and practice on clients, and that's great. But if you can role play a little bit ahead of time, you're going to increase your chances in a big way. Okay, hope that's helpful. And now that completes the what we're going to include for now anyway in the winning the mental game for agents. Just a real quick recap now is really, if you get anything from this, kind of know where you're going, set some goals, and then just remember your daily habits. Throw everything into Amped within seconds of recognizing it, and work on your next actions every day, and then plan your day at the end of the day, and then set aside a time for planning and practicing. So just do that. If nothing else, if all you remember the 10-second rule and work on your next actions. So those two things, if nothing else. And then once you get that as a habit, I hope you will come back and revisit, or not revisit, but visit for the first time the supercharged sales section. This will take you to the next level. You get those habits. Now all of a sudden it's going to be easy to get in and start adding some things. So just to give you an idea of what, just a real quick intro there, some of the stuff you're going to learn in the supercharged sales section is how to get off the price battlefield. We're going to get into real specifics, how and why to control the sales experience, if that's really the key to big results. So now that you've got your foundation here, you can start to tweak with the sales experience that you provide people, and that's going to have a huge impact on your results. We talk about developing a playbook. So what that means is this sales experience that you're going to provide, you actually have a plan and a series of steps that you do to deliver that experience, and I call that the playbook. So you can start to put that down on paper. So that's things like, okay, how am I going to answer the phone? What's my unique selling proposition? How am I going to deliver it? And how do I set up expectations so that I can really blow them away and get them to want to do business with me? So those are the kind of things. We talk about the effort curve, knowing what to spend time on and what not to worry about, and it's a lot different than what people think. People think they need to learn to close deals and find, that during that presentation, make some awesome presentation with awesome coverages, and talk about the services you're going to provide on as well. We'll turn that all on its head and show that there's a lot better way than doing that, and it takes a lot less effort. We're going to go into, identifying a target market. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. Once you get into that, even after you go through the course, you may not know what it is. It gives you some valuable tools, though, about how to watch for that and then how to capitalize on it. Then we go into marketing. Once you go through the marketing courses in the supercharged sales, you'll never be without leads. You'll always have leads to work on, good ones. And then let's see, how else? Yeah, we'll just go through the whole sales process step by step and how to optimize that sales process. So from the first conversation, first contact, and then first conversation, and then we go through, setting expectations, the quoting process, the presentation process, and then the binding process. We'll go through all that, talk about how to follow up better, how to use service to get more sales. We talk about something out there about how to get them to kind of doubt their current insurance. If you got somebody that's kind of tough and they're not actually know if they even want a policy yet, or want to shop with you yet, we show them how to introduce doubt and kind of get your foot in the door. So anyway, you've got a lot to look forward to, but don't feel overwhelmed. Remember, it's just one thing at a time. And for right now, at this stage of these courses, if all you remember, like I said, capture your deals within 10 seconds, because that's going to free up your mind. You're going to always know, hey, Amped's got all my stuff. I can just go there and see what's going on. It doesn't take it takes less time than any other method I've ever seen, in just a few seconds. And then just work on your next actions every day. Just commit that you're going to go through, look at your active list every day in Amped and push through. Do that. Commit to doing that. That will make you that will put you head and shoulders above most agents. Just that right there. And then if you do your daily planning, that even puts you farther ahead. And then from there, like I say, everything in the supercharged sales section is just going to amp everything up so that you'll get higher and higher and higher levels. Anyway, it's been good working with you so far. Excited to hear from you. I hope you'll reach out to me, let me know how things are going. Ben at Amped.Agency. So Ben like Benjamin at Amped.Agency. Anyway, I hope to see you in the supercharged sales section, and congratulations on getting this far into this.